Change is always a good thing. When it arrives, it disturbs, it bothers, but change allows a civilization to evolve. It allows people to become much more... What's this? I have to wear this now? All right. But you know, change will disrupt people because it takes them out of their comfort zone. But at the end of the day, it really makes people evolve. It allows us as a civilization to go... What's that? Things you can't say in 2021? But while society has submitted the human race to so many changes in the last 50 years, we have adapted, we have evolved in the goal of becoming a much better civilization. There are, however, some things that do not change. Therefore, people who are conservative and don't like things to be different. There are vehicles that are like that as well. Things like the Ford Mustang, for example, it's been existing for half a century unchanged. We can still count on a Mustang to have a V8 engine, rear-wheel drive, and to be a sports coupe. What the? Oh, I give up. Yep, it's the new Ford Mustang. And I know, it has absolutely nothing in common with the Mustang we all grew up with. It's electric, it's an SUV, and for enthusiasts like you and me, it's a very large pill to swallow. But your opinion of the Ford Mustang Mach-E is irrelevant because from a marketing standpoint, this is genius. Putting the Mustang badge on an electric crossover will make sure that the Mustang will evolve. It has changed. It has changed to adapt to a new world of electrification, Tesla lovers, yep, I said it, and crossovers. And so far, the formula seems to be winning for Ford because the vehicle has only been on sale for about 4 months and there has already been more than 7,000 units sold in North America. Is this the future of the pony car? Only time will tell. But so far, it's a lot to take in, but it also kicks a lot of ass. So, what to think of the 2021 Ford Mustang Mach-E? I was among the skeptics when this thing was first unveiled, and then I started watching the videos from my colleagues and reading articles, and they seem to like it. Reviews seem to be very positive for this car, and people who have been buying it also appear to be liking it. And so far, I'm really appreciating this machine. Now, I'm going to come out and say that this is not a Mustang. It's not. It doesn't feel like a Mustang, doesn't look like one, doesn't drive like one, but it's one hell of an electric car. Now, as you've probably noticed, it's very quiet in this cabin because electric cars don't make any noise. And because they're so quiet, their sound insulation has to be much better than a conventional vehicle because you hear everything. And in the Mach-E, you don't hear nothing. Now for the Mach-E, there are different batteries available, there are different trim levels available. Now the entry-level model makes do with a 68 kilowatt-hour battery. It kicks off at $50,000 here in Canada, and you can have it with either rear or all-wheel drive. But I don't recommend getting that one because it's not very powerful. You only get about 266 horsepower and not that much range. I'm driving the one with the upgraded battery, the 88 kilowatt-hour battery, and it makes a lot more sense. Sure, it sells for $70,000, which is pretty much the same price as a Tesla Model Y long range, but you're getting 346 horsepower and 428 foot-pounds of torque and a claimed range of 435 kilometers. Now at this point you're probably thinking, wait a minute, a Tesla Model Y has more range, more performance for the same price. And you'd be right. But there are some elements about this Mustang Mach-E that really allow it to look, feel different than a Tesla. I mean, it really has a desirable vibe. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the logo or if it's the fact that it has the Mustang name on it or it's a Ford, but there's really something about this Mach-E that makes me want to own one. I also really love this blue color. This is the launch edition, by the way, but of course you guys probably want to know how it feels behind the wheel, and I was also curious to find out if this deserves to have the Mustang name slapped onto its body. It sure as hell is quick, and that's expected from electric cars. So obviously the Mustang Mach-E has several drive modes to choose from. You got 3 pre-selected drive modes. You got the whisper mode, that's pretty self-explanatory. You don't hear anything, and the car is very soft in whisper mode. There's not much resistance in the steering wheel, and when you gun the accelerator pedal, well, it's very smooth, and the vehicle accelerates briskly, like in any other electric vehicle. Then I have engage mode, and also unbridled. I'm going to assume that unbridled is the most extreme drive mode because everything turns red in the infotainment system and the gauge cluster. The steering wheel has a lot more resistance, and I feel also some resistance in the throttle pedal. That's because the regenerative braking system is much more aggressive. And when you floor it, it's quick, but it also sounds quite neat. I mean, it doesn't sound like a Mustang, that's for sure. I mean, gone is the sound of a V8 engine. It just has this purr, this roar that comes from underneath my seat. It's rather pleasant though. Yeah, and this thing accelerates, obviously. I mean, when you gun the throttle, you are gone. Allow me to show you how impressive this machine is. I'm currently on a pretty tight winding road. It isn't perfect at all. There are a lot of road imperfections, a lot of holes, and a lot of dust, which means that I don't have a lot of grip. However, with the Mach-E, I'm never afraid because this thing has just so much grip. It takes it in. I can go so fast and I can brake very fast, and I'm not going to be scared of losing control. However, that being said, when you do remove traction control in this vehicle, which you do through the infotainment system, it will dance, it will wiggle, and it will talk to you. And that's something I have rarely experienced in an electric vehicle except in a Tesla. So again, Ford has also calibrated this thing to be as engaging to drive as a Tesla, or also like a German sports sedan. This thing will get the, look at this. I just drifted that entire corner. That entire corner was sliding, but I was in total control. The level of confidence behind the wheel of the Mach-E is unbelievable. You can throw this thing in a corner so fast, and it's so fun to drive. I don't have a V8 engine, I don't have a manual gearbox, I don't have rear-wheel drive, and I'm not even driving a sports car yet. It is as thrilling, if not more thrilling, than a Ford Mustang Shelby GT350, for instance. I do miss the sound of a naturally aspirated V8, however. This is a highly digital experience. This is a toy in every respect. And when I say that the Mach-E is desirable, that's exactly what I mean. You want to own one just because of it's so cool. It's just such a cool and weird and awkward and unusual kind of vehicle. So when I say that Ford is really trying to mimic a Tesla Model Y, I mean, it's apparent everywhere in this vehicle, from the specifications, the pricing, the performance, and the cabin. Now, very much like a Tesla, there isn't much in front of me except for a large screen. I do, however, have a smaller screen here that works as a gauge spot, but everything is simplified. Everything is easily laid out in front of me, and Ford has done a pretty good job of building its own infotainment system, its own interface, but still making it competitive against Tesla or Polestar or other EV car makers. Now, the tablet is positioned in a portrait layout. I'm not a fan of this configuration. It looks like the screen was just stuck on the dashboard, but it allows for the information to be well displayed. Under the screen itself, there's nothing. There are no buttons whatsoever. The only physical button that I have is a large volume knob, which proves that volume knobs are still important in a fully digital world. This is the only knob that I have on this system, and I'm happy that it's there. It's big. I can grab it. I can lower or up the volume. Underneath it, I have a massive amount of storage. I have my 2 cup holders, wireless charging for my phone, another section for a second phone here as well, because yes, I can pair more than one phone on the Mach-E's infotainment system. And underneath, I have another shelf, which allows me to throw a whole bunch of gear. Every shelf is plastered with a nice rubbery carpet to avoid things from falling or slipping off. Here I have the rotary transmission knob, and it's funny because it looks exactly the same as all the rotary transmission knobs on other Ford vehicles. So it's odd because since the Mach-E is so modern and revolutionary and high-tech, you're seeing old Ford switchgear in it. Same thing with the wiper and the blinker stalks. It's kind of weird. It just feels like Ford at the last minute was like, oh my God, we need wiper stocks for this electric vehicle. Let's just take what we have from a Ford F-150. So now onto the main interface right here. Now I've got mine connected to Android Auto because I use an Android phone, but I'm told that the integration with Apple CarPlay is just as seamless. It is wireless, and the moment you get in the vehicle, the Mach-E offers you to create a profile. Again, this is very Tesla-ish. I create my profile, I enter my name, I associate my profile to my favorite seating position, my key, my ideal playlist. Basically, I can really customize the vehicle to my liking. Once my profile is created, the vehicle will sync to my Android phone and it will present it all in a beautiful layout in my face. Now, I have a lot of drop-down menus depending on what I'm pressing. If I go back on the main menu, I'm back to Android Auto, but I have a little Mach-E here on the top. I don't know if you see it. And when I tap on it, I have access to other settings like my drive modes. I can activate the one pedal drive or remove it. That's regenerative braking. I have ambient lighting selections, propulsion sounds as well. Yes, this thing has synthesized the engine sounds because obviously in an electric car you don't have an engine that purrs under the hood. It is a weird sound, however. It doesn't sound anything like what a Mustang should sound, but hey, change is a good thing, right? I hope so. And of course, like in any good electric vehicle, I can precondition the vehicle's cabin so I can program a time when I want to leave in the morning. That way, while my vehicle is charging, it will heat up the cabin and it will use up less energy from the battery. This will also improve my range. So my message to the skeptics that think that electric cars will never happen or that they're going to take away all their freedom or their love for gasoline, I'm here to tell you that the electric car is just as fun and cool as the gasoline-powered vehicle. It's just a very different experience. It doesn't feel mechanical. Yes, it does at times feel like the vehicle is carrying you, but there are other things you can enjoy about this. The powertrain is so smooth in an electric car, and it always performs the same way, no matter what you throw at it, whether it be hills, atmospheric pressure, changes in elevation, or changes in the weather. Electric-powered vehicles just keep on moving. I mean, these things could literally keep running on the moon. And I'm also fascinated by what we have now. These are the pioneers of the electric cars, and they're amazing. They're so cool and fun and quick. Imagine what we're going to have in the next 10, 20, 30 years. The moment engineers are going to start tweaking this technology, we're going to end up with electric vehicles with more than 1,000 kilometers of range and like 2,000 horsepower, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour time of like 2 seconds flat. And about the range, I unplugged this thing in the morning. It was 5 degrees Celsius. It told me that I had 315 kilometers of range. Sure, it's way less than the 435 that's advertised by Ford. But I did a 300 kilometer trip one way. 300 kilometers is far. It is very far. That's a 3-hour drive. And I didn't ever feel any range anxiety. When I arrived, the trip computer told me I still had 40 kilometers left. And because I live here in Quebec, where we have an established public charging grid, I just connected the car to a quick charger. It took me an hour. I had other things to do anyway. I had to work. Within an hour, my car was fully charged. It only cost me $12, and I could do the trip back 300 kilometers once again, one way. In total, I traveled 600 kilometers, and I didn't spend more than $20 in electricity.